Good day, soldiers. This is Luthais, and welcome to the first part of the best guide for beginners. Now, at the start of the game, we're going to focus on everything you need to get your gameplay running as smooth as possible. So first of all, we're going to go to settings, and the resolution is up to you. You need to use full screen because that will give you the best performance, and windowed will of course let you use two screens if you want to. Now put the field of view on 65. It's going to give you the most realistic field of view in third person and first person, especially first person. And then put your brightness to 125% because it's going to give you that bit of edge in the darkness. And then the UI scaling starts at 100%, but it's a bit too big, so you can set that to 90%. Just let it look a bit better. Now, these are the absolute minimum settings. That still looks quite good because you're using SMA-A1TX. I wouldn't suggest you go way lower than that on the anti-aliasing mode because everything's going to run around on the screen a bit for you. So yes, this is my settings. I set everything to low, and on the next episode I'm going to put my view distance to 2000 just to see a bit more, since deer and things like that are disappearing. And then on my controls I just set my zoom aiming to 25% to make it a bit less sensitive. Again, with the player setup, put in your name, and please guys, if you're a male, be a male, and if you're a female, please be a female, because this game is all about immersion, and we need to, make sure that if you see a girl that you're talking to a woman, and if you see a man that you're talking to a man. So, we're going to join the most populated server on Miscreated at the moment, and yes, as soon as you get into the game, just look around and see if you see anything that will help you with knowing your location. Normally I just look up at the sky. I love looking at birds these days, and I'm not crazy about looking into ugly bases like this, but yes, just enjoy the immersion and the graphics, and then start looking for something like the sign that tells you you're close to Sultan. Now of course, right at the beginning, you must know that you can use any piece of clothing to tear into rags. And that's going to be the difference between life and death when you've got a bleeding marker. So just remember that. Rags are very important for crafting things and for surviving. Then of course, stealth. Stealth is extremely important in this game since you do not want to be heard when walking. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to look at our map, and then we're going to press the right mouse button to zoom in, and then the Alt key to free look. And that way we'll be able to get an idea of exactly where we are and use the landmarks to navigate ourselves, because the map is of course nice and square. So north is up, east is right, west is left, and of course south is to the bottom. So quite a nice way to just navigate yourself to where you want to be. So getting back to the stealth, running is of course your loudest way of traveling, and then of course crouching is better, and then if you hold your middle mouse button in, you crouch or walk even slower, making even less noise. So as soon as I hear another player close to me, I love to use that middle mouse button to make it the least amount of sound that I can. And then of course a new feature to the game is prone. And in close quarter situations, prone is going to be very nice for you to spot someone, especially if you hear someone coming. Then hiding in the brush is, as you can see, very good for them not to spot you. Just don't overuse it at long distances because the grass doesn't render, so they're still going to see you. The second, of course, the other thing that you need to do while you're running around is you're going to be running into a lot of bases. And since you spawn with the map, you need to memorize where these bases are on the map and look for bases with weaknesses in them. In other words, bases that will be quite easy to get into, so that you can raid them at some point. Now, again, we're at the river next to Sultan, and we can see on the 4 crossings there that there's a cave there. So, using this river as a point, as an important point to navigate myself, I can just walk, and as soon as I see other landmarks like this, the 2 little waterfalls, then later on I will know that the highest little waterfall, directly opposite of that, to the mountain or to the rocks, you will get the first little cave, which just makes navigating the map much easier in the future. Now, this is a very small cave, but you will be amazed at what you can find in here if you loot this area properly. Now, looting a house or looting anything properly is making sure that you look everywhere something could be hidden, like behind a desk, in a cabinet, on top of a cabinet, in world items. And when I say world items, I mean boxes and lockers, anything you can interact with. And as soon as there is something in that world item, a mouse scroll wheel will pop up like that. See their search box with the mouse scroll wheel? So I know there's something in there. If I hover over a world item and I see the text but there's no scroll wheel, I don't have to search it because I know there's nothing there. So yes, guys, really focus on world items. You can get really smart in items, and of course you won't see rocks and stuff like that when your weapon is raised. So please lower your weapon when you're trying to loot, so that you make sure you don't miss anything and that you can interact with every single world item. And of course, a nice addition to the game are these small little spiders that pop out when you search something, and trust me, you're still going to get a heart attack one of these days, like I've had many times. Again, I'm entering Sultan, which is a town and which is a hotspot, so I'm trying to make as little noise as possible because I want to make sure there's no players in my area. If they are camping, then of course it's going to be very difficult for me to spot them. But every area you enter, you need to make sure you're as quiet as possible and make sure for at least 30 seconds to a minute that you're not hearing anything. Okay? They might still be in your vicinity, but at least they're not very close to you. So that's always something to focus on. And again, at this church, as you can see, inside a cabinet, I can get cool shoes. And it's very easy for you just to scan this room and just to walk outside, okay? Because as you can see, while I'm scanning, there's nothing really that's popping out to me. But like I said, look in the bin, look at all the little angles, and you will find a DD-MK18 with 13 bullets, okay? Making you a killing machine right at the beginning. So like I say, loot is very important in this game, and it's very important for you to search every single room and location as good as you can, and make sure you cover all the hidden locations, and of course locations that are higher than you, so you want to jump a lot. And yes, just make sure you don't miss anything. Again, I'm just going through some of the bases that I've run into, and I can see one of the bases is very weirdly built, okay? So they just stack things on top of each other, and it's going to be very difficult for me to get to that loot. This base here looks a little bit better. It's not to say it's not going to be difficult. Still not thinking about raiding it, but I can see it's only got 2 levels. It's not very badly built. So if I put in a nice session here with a bunch of tools, I can maybe get in there. And like you can see, I've come back with a pickaxe. And because it's got a door, I know I can get in through the door with about 5 tools. Okay, as you will see here. So a pickaxe and a hatchet are your best tools at raiding at the moment. And a pickaxe definitely does a bit more damage. Okay, and of course a large axe is a very nice tool as well to smash through anything when raiding. So as you can see, that's the amount of damage I did with the pickaxe. And if you have to, you can craft hatchets and you can craft pickaxes as well. But guys, they're not going to do, their durability is going to be very bad. And it's going to take you a very, very long time using crafted items. In my experience, you want to use items that you find in the world, and they are not that difficult to find. And as you can see, with one pickaxe and one hatchet, I've gotten halfway. Okay, so immediately I know if I can get another pickaxe which has full durability and a good hatchet, I can get through that door and then plan my next strategy of getting through. Of course, while you're running around, you will run into wolves when you're running through the trees. Now, the most important thing about wolves is to shoot and kill at least one. Wait for them to run away. As you can see there, they run away as soon as you hurt enough of them, or if you kill the alpha. And according to my experience, there is an alpha wolf, and when you kill him, they tend to scatter. And what I want you to focus on is, with a melee weapon, yes, you can kill them, but don't underestimate these creatures. They can definitely kill you. So what I normally do is I just wait for them to turn their backs, try and loot the one that I killed, and then get to a safe distance. If I can't get away, I'll shoot one of them again and, hit and run all the time. Of course, a water source is a very safe way to get away, and you can see they already took about 12% health off me, probably with just one bite. So never ever underestimate them. And remember, water is a very, very safe way to escape. And of course, in the beginning, using the river is also a very good tactical method, because you are concealed, no one can see you. So if you don't want to get killed, then the river is a very good option. And of course, if you hear anything or you get shot at, you can get into cover really, really quickly. Since the river is normally very close to trees, you've got a lot of options. You can run into the trees, or you can, jump into the water. And if you swim, make sure you go with the stream to get as much speed as possible. Like you can see, the water is running down. You never want to swim up. That's not going to help you at all. And you can use the river to drink water, which is great because you need to keep your water and food very high to heal faster. And of course, you can always heal the radiation later on using caves, which I will show you just now. Of course, like I said, rags is very important. So as soon as you've gathered 5 rags, you can make your first rope. And then with the rope and the 1 rag that's left, you can craft your first horseshoe pack, which is extremely important because, as you will find in the beginning, you can only carry about 6 items, which isn't a lot. And that horseshoe pack is going to give you 5 extra slots, which will help you a lot to carry more things. And then, of course, the more things you can carry, the higher your chances of survivability is. There you can see 5 more slots. Okay. Ideally, we'd want to pick up a stove pack, which will give us 10 slots. But, we have to use what we get, and we're not always lucky enough to get a great backpack. Again, following the river, I'm not in much danger, and I know that at this rock and close to that little wastage pipe there, or waterfall, I can take this route and get into the back of the big cave close to Sultan, which I have used my map to find as well. So yeah, don't be scared, just slide down, always hug the rocks, be as close as possible so that you don't lose a lot of health. And the reason why you want to come into the back of this cave is, first of all, I do find guns quite a lot here, so it's a good location. 60% of the time you'll find a gun here, and then the other 40% of the time you'll find nothing. But the biggest reason why I want to come into the back is because it's got a little passageway that is very high with radiation. So if you jump into the cave from the top or swim in from the river, then you'll have to pass through this passageway twice. And of course, you'll pick up double the radiation, and it will take you way longer to heal that radiation. As you can see, one trip running through it gives me 32 radiation. Make sure you run through these areas, because if you walk through, it's going to give you much more radiation. And then, of course, I can wait and again listen and see if I hear anyone. In the caves, you're going to want to focus on edible mushrooms that I just got right now. And then the second mushroom that you're going to want to focus on are the blue anti-rad mushrooms, which will heal radiation. And then, of course, the third mushroom that you want to focus on is your healing mushrooms that also shine brightly like the blue mushroom, which will cure poison. And of course, when you're looting caves, don't loot where you can't see anything, like the skeletons or the stones. Always loot the tables and the walled items and containers and bags, and sleeping bags and little beds and barrels. So don't waste your time to look everywhere. The mushrooms will pop up and they will be very easy to see and pick up. But like I said, the tables and the places where there are walled items will be the fastest way to loot the cave, and make sure you get out of there as fast as possible. And again, when you're done, then you can safely exit out of this little gap. And then, yes, again, you're in the water and you're safe. But like I said, there are three entrances. One at the top, the one that I took, and the little exit that we've taken here. And then, yes, those mushrooms, the blue mushrooms will help you and will make sure you can survive in this world as long as possible. Another tip is, when you're in a dangerous area, you must lower your weapon and then use your right mouse button to zoom in. Okay, when you've got your weapon raised, it will just look down the sights. But when you haven't got your weapon raised, then you'll zoom in way further and you'll be able to see more. And then, of course, the best way is if you've got binoculars. And this is my favorite way to make sure that I'm not running into anything. With the binoculars, I can zoom in very far and I can see if there's anyone on the horizon or anyone, within a certain distance of me. And I love using the binoculars to look at bases and to see if anyone's inside the base. Because the worst thing you want to do is run past the base when there's someone camping on the roof and, trying to kill you with the sniper rifle. So again, I'm in a dangerous area and I feel that the water is the safest option just to get to where I want to be. And as soon as I get out of the water, I want to look at my area again. So there's a base in front of me and there's a base to my left, which will always be the case in highly populated servers. So again, I'm in the shadows. I want to use the prone. And again, you want to use the binoculars when you get it to try and see, is there anyone peeking through the window? Is there any movement? And this might seem like a waste of time, guys, but trust me, you do not want to run past the base where a whole clan is in the base, or where, someone is hiding with a sniper rifle. And just doing this bit of effort, making sure that the coast is clear, which doesn't matter. Even if you don't see anyone, doesn't mean no one is there. But just scanning the area, as you can see, the grass isn't rendering, so you can see if anyone is running there. And that again will be the difference between life and death. Now, after you've looted the south part of the island and you've used stealth, to the best of your ability, it will be time to start moving to the middle of the map. And at the middle of the map, you will get a lot of good locations regarding loot. And this first location is the checkpoint that you get between Woodhaven and Hayward Valley. And is personally one of my favorite spots to loot because it's not that popular. The big checkpoints between Brightmoor and Hayward is much more popular, and the chances of you getting into a PvP situation there is much higher. You can get into a PvP situation here as well, but again, the chances are much lower because it's only one spot, and if any geared players were here, then they could have raided or looted this area very quickly. So again, just using the stealth and taking a few seconds just to make sure the area is clear. And then as soon as I decide I think it's safe, then I'm ready to start looting as quickly as possible. And yes, again, look at space, guys. That's why space is so important. I can't pick up the pants immediately, so I have to juggle around with my inventory, which takes time and again, can be the difference between life and death. Okay? So always make sure you pick up as many items as you can. Of course, I haven't picked up a jacket yet. A jacket will give you even more slots. And yes, try and focus on backpacks in the beginning. Like I got a stovepack here. I know those 5 extra slots are extremely important. And when you loot, as you can see, always throw down the item that you don't want anymore. Pick up the one you want and just left click on everything to loot as quickly as possible. And although I'm experienced, you will still see that at some points when I'm looting, I'm trying to do it as quickly as possible, and I get flustered sometimes because I know exactly when I start wasting time. And I've had many instances where this bit of time that I'm wasting, or I'm just looting a bit too long and a guy gets an easy headshot on me. So yes, guys, we're gonna leave the dangerous areas or the middle part of the map for the second part of this map awareness and survival guide. And if you like this video, please click the like button, and if you want to see more videos like this, please press the subscribe button and then just click that bell button, alright, to be notified when the next video will be uploaded. And yes, I will show you exactly what to do with the middle of the map and teach you a few tips like killing a spider mutant with 1 bullet. This is Luthais, guys. Have fun.